What's up my peeps, it's time for the WWE 2K Battlegrounds review, and this is coming from somebody who's played the game for over 78 hours. Don't believe me? Check this out. Although to be fair, I did leave it open like twice while I was sleeping, but still played a ton of hours, and those are just Steam hours. I've also started on PS4. And speaking of PS4, thanks to 2K, I'm giving away a copy of the PS4 version to one of you guys. All you gotta do is click the like button on this video and leave a comment letting me know why I should give the code to you. And if you want to double your chances at winning, go ahead, follow me on Twitter and like and retweet the tweet about this video and reply with that same reason why I should give you the code over there as well. And then Monday after Raw ends, I'll pick somebody from either the YouTube comments or the Twitter replies and DM you the code. But now let's get to the review. So, how's WWE 2K Battlegrounds? Is it good? Is it not good? Should you get it? Should you not get it? I'll go over all of that. So, to start it off, there's three types of WWE games. You got simulation type games, so think 2K15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Arcade simulation, that's like the Here Comes the Pain, the SmackDown series back in the PS2 days, and also the Xbox 360 and PS3 days. And finally, you've got the over-the-top arcade games. Think WWE All-Stars or this game. Now, if you ask most WWE gamers which type of WWE game they prefer, most of them are probably going to go ahead and say the arcade simulation type, so like the Here Comes the Pain games and such, because it's pretty much the best of both worlds. It's not completely realistic, where it's like real slow gameplay, but it's also not completely unrealistic either when it comes to the gameplay or looks. It's pretty much simulations with more freedom and quicker pace action that just made it more fun. And if you haven't noticed, that's not WWE 2K Battlegrounds. Battlegrounds is like on the extreme end of arcade. It's over the top arcade. It's extremely unrealistic. And it's when they go to the extreme end of simulation or over the top arcade, that's when you get very different opinions from the community. You'll see people that are like, yo, I love this game's great. And you'll see people go, yo, this game sucks, this is terrible. Obviously, it's gonna depend on people's preferences of the type of WWE game they prefer. So that's why you're seeing people really like it or people really hate it. And for those of you who don't know whether to get this game or not, the best thing I can tell you is if you've played WWE All-Stars before. How did you feel about that game? Because if you like that game, then I think you'll like this game too, because it's the same type of gameplay. But if you hated All-Stars, then you'll probably hate this too, and this is probably not a game for you. But I also know that some people haven't played All-Stars, or some people have, but still can't make a decision. So that's what the review's for. I'll give you the pros and cons of the game, and let you know why I actually think it's the best multiplayer WWE game this generation. And by the way, by generation, I mean like this generation of consoles. So let's start it off with the pros. And first things first, the most important part, the gameplay. The gameplay is fun again. It's a nice change of pace after what, 6 years of the same slow pace simulation type gameplay that we had with 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Instead of trying to be realistic, it tries to be fun. So with that, there's more crazy stuff in this game. Like you can throw people onto explosive barrels, you can throw them to an alligator so you can shoot them up, you can go ahead and have a car fall onto a superstar, jump from a helicopter, and then even when you don't have those interactive options, you've got power-ups which kind of add strategy to the game, because when you're facing off against somebody, people are going to use different power-ups combinations. You don't know if they're going to use more defensive ones, offensive ones, or maybe a combination of both. And these power-ups range from added damage, unblockable hits for a certain period of time, being able to freeze your opponent, hit them with lightning, add a crazy throw to your moveset, or make it so it's harder for your opponents to kick out of pins, ones that recover your health in the game. So when you're going into a match, depending on the opponent, depending on the type of match, you'll be choosing different types of power-ups that you feel are best suited for that match or for that opponent. And these power-ups are also on top of classes. You've got 5 different classes in the game, and they all specialize in different things, have different moves, feel different. A powerhouse feels much different than a high flyer. Brawlers go ahead and specialize in using weapons. So to sum it up, the gameplay is a nice change of things for the series. Second of all, the game's got a large roster of superstars, and on top of that, the amount of superstars that you're gonna get post-launch is huge as well. There's 63 post-launch superstars planned. I think that's more DLC superstars than any WWE game before, and on top of that, they're all gonna be free. But there is a small catch to that though, which I'll get to in a few. But yeah, just based on the amount of superstars that are still to come, this looks to be like a WWE game that's gonna be supported for a long time to come. And then the biggest pro, in my opinion, as an online player or somebody who prefers multiplayer, this game features the best multiplayer in the WWE game this generation. on the PS4 and Xbox One. There is no other WWE game that has a better online. Now, although that's not a hard thing to accomplish, given how bad the online was in the regular simulation series this generation, it's still a big thing for us online players. You can actually play online matches in this without delay and without the major lag. Something that we haven't been able to do for almost 6 years now on the PS4 and Xbox One with a WWE game until Battlegrounds, which is a super important thing in a fighting game like this where you got counters and stuff like that, because if you got delay, if you got lag, it messes up the timing on the counters and everything. But thankfully with this game, there is none of that from the matches that I played. And it also adds online tournaments which you can enter and win battle bucks, which you can then use to unlock more characters. On top of that, they've got this King of the Battlegrounds mode, which is like a special version of an online Royal Rumble. 4 people can compete in the ring at the same time, but other players are waiting on the outside of the ring and can fight it out on the outside and taunt on the outside, and are just waiting for somebody to get eliminated to then get teleported inside the ring, where then they go ahead and start fighting and people eliminate each other until there's only one person remaining. But the match keeps on going until there's nobody joining the match anymore. So there isn't a set number of players for the match. It could be really long or it could be pretty short depending on how many people are trying to join the match. It is by far the best online multiplayer in the WWE game this gen. Keep in mind, I'm saying this gen, not ever, because the online isn't perfect. Because for instance, aside from tournament matches and King of the Battlegrounds, you can't go ahead and just search for a random opponent in the other match types. So if you're trying to have like a fatal 4-way match, you've got to have 3 friends on your friend list to play online with. You can't search for 3 random people, unless that fatal 4-way is in a tournament, but as of right now, the only tournament matches there are one-on-one men's or women's matches and one-on-one steel cage matches. Everything else like tag matches, fatal 4-ways, triple threats, the people you play online against have to be on your friend list, which is weird. You'd expect that stuff from Nintendo, but not from this. But even with that, I'm confident in saying this is the best WWE game online this gen. But now on to the cons. First off, there's still a bunch of bugs in the game. Just in today's video, for instance, in the online tournament, there was a bug where I couldn't use a certain power-up, and every single time I try and use it, it wouldn't let me start the match. I had to not use that power-up, and for some reason, when other people would use that power-up, it would work. So there's definitely bugs and glitches there, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna get fixed. Then when it comes to the campaign, it's a pretty weak campaign. It's basically matches that are separated by the story being told through comic book pages. So you're gonna be reading a bunch, and there's absolutely no cutscenes. The story itself is okay, but the characters you play as, they're pretty lame. They feel like, you know, relatives or siblings of Baron Blade, the jobber from the 2K series in my career. They got some jobber names, none of them are cool. The only cool one is the hacker, and he's like the last one you get introduced to. For those of you who played All-Stars, I'd say the Path of Champions mode in that game was a lot better than the campaign in this one. Another con is the low amount of moves that you can perform in matches, and also the low amount of variety and customization options that you've got with the created character mode. So in matches, you'll find you're using the same move a couple of times, and that's because there's just not as much of a large selection of moves that you can do in a match compared to like the simulation series or even All-Stars. And also the create a character mode is pretty limited. You don't have too many options to select from when it comes to items and things like that. And then finally, there is a pretty big reliance on battle bucks and golden bucks, basically the currency in the game. For you to unlock the characters, you need battle bucks, which you can collect in the game, but there is no unlock all option or quick option to unlock everybody at the same time like you have with the simulation series, for instance, where you can just get the accelerated, which is I think what, $2 or something like that, and unlock all characters at once right away. In this game, it's going to take you more time to unlock all the characters, and if you want them as quick as possible and you're down to pay for it, it costs you a lot more than 2K19 or any of the other games. The good thing is you can get everybody absolutely free, including all the post-launch characters that are going to come via DLC or updates or whatever, but even for those, you'll need to collect battle bucks, or if you just want to speed things up and not play to get the battle bucks, you can go ahead and spend real money. So that's it for the pros and cons. Personally, I'm liking the game, especially because I'm big on online multiplayer, so the fact that I can play an online WWE game on consoles without any delay or lag for the first time in years again, that's great. And as far as whether I prefer this or All-Stars, All-Stars is still my favorite over-the-top arcade-style WWE game, but if you're a fan of that type of game and you want an updated roster and people to play online against, then I think you'll like this game. With that said, see ya!